Both of us single dads from the Midwest, we can talk about it. Both of us single dads from the Midwest, we can talk about it. Both of us single dads from the Midwest, we can talk about it. Or we can get gully, I'll size up your body and put some white chalk around it.
Welcome to the Single Dads of the Midwest, episode 23. In this case, Sheldon did introduce the different guests, but I also know this guest. Welcome to the brilliant Britt, who I know from my time playing Quidditch in the Bay Area. Britt grew up in the Netherlands, but has been living in the Bay Area for a bit. And in addition to her passion for Quidditch and the Bay Area itself, she also was part of a Offbeat event, and we'll talk about what Offbeat is in a bit, of the National November Writing Month project, in which they all wrote a novel together, which is a great experience, and we'll talk about that. But without further ado, Britt, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, Alex. Thank you for inviting me. My name is Britt, originally from the Netherlands, and have been living in the Bay Area for 7 years now. I really like the international aspect of the area. We have a group of international friends. We enjoy the weather, go to the pool very often. So yes, life has been good.
That's great. And we were talking off air of how great it is that things are slowly starting to, open up so that we can play Quidditch, go outside, see friends again. And that's all been great. But why don't we start with, what was it like, growing up in the Netherlands? And then I believe coming to the United States, was that your first time living outside of the Netherlands?
It is actually my second time living outside the Netherlands. I did an internship in Munich for 5 months. It was also a really wonderful experience, learning a different language and meeting people from different cultures. Munich, it's a city with a lot of activities and places you can go to. So yeah, it was really an exciting time as well. But after my graduation, I started working, and after 2.5 years, we got the opportunity to move to the US, and were excited and decided to go.
No, that's great. And what would you say were like the biggest differences from, well, I guess we can start with Munich first to the Netherlands. So what were like the key things that like stood out as being different, and also maybe the same, surprisingly same, between the two countries?
I wouldn't say big cultural differences. For me, it's just getting to know a different language. I worked at a very young research agency, so it was all very informal and open and very interesting, I would say. And here from the US, the Bay Area, it's also very international oriented. I wouldn't say big cultural differences either. Just it is very big over here. A lot of lanes on the highway, big distances, a little bit of a different system. But it's all very interesting to get to know it all.
Yeah, definitely. United States geographically is probably much larger than most European countries, so the scaling is definitely different. So coming to the States, you just mentioned like great international community in the Bay Area, and things like that. Are there other specific parts of the Bay that you like really enjoy, or maybe parts you don't enjoy as much?
I really enjoy all the different activities. There are a lot of things where you can go to, a lot of meetups. The work-life balance, it's a little bit different here. It's more work-oriented. It's maybe a little bit more competitive. Also makes it interesting, though.
And remind me, I think you work in tech, right? But what's your specific kind of role?
I don't work in tech. Customer service, inside sales. I process purchase orders, coordinate shipments, generate shipping documents. I have a lot of contact with our factories in Thailand, Vietnam, Japan. I work with a lot of customers here in the US and Mexico.
That's great. And apologies for getting that wrong.
Oh, don't worry. We actually moved here because of my husband, and he is an engineer.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Awesome. So I guess let's talk about actually Quidditch first, because that's where I first met you. I know that, so I guess for context for some listeners that might not know, Quidditch is a really fun sport that you should all try. And we were both part of the well, I guess still kind of am, and so is Britt, part of the Silicon Valley Vipers. But as a brief aside, there's a group in the Bay Area called Offbeat Fun 20s and 30s, which is a meetup group, which is for individuals in that age range looking to do just like really fun events. And we host like, sometimes I think, Britt, you would agree, pretty kind of out there events like real life Mario Kart or like a real life Iron Chef, but they're really fun. And because Offbeat and the Quidditch team are actually sister meetups, anytime someone joins Offbeat, people will try, or especially Sam will try to recruit you from, Offbeat to, join the Quidditch team. But I'm curious, how did you find out about Quidditch and how did you join the team? Because I think you were there before I was.
Yes, we live nearby a park, and I saw people playing Quidditch in the park, and I was intrigued immediately. It's something very different, and I thought I was really excited to try it out. And then I saw the meetup. I thought, okay, this is something I definitely want to try. And I played for a year. It's really fun.
Yeah, it is super fun. It is very physical. So
Yes.
it does take a toll, as we both can personally attest, on the body. But definitely great people, great vibes. If you're in the Bay Area, I would definitely check out the Silicon Valley Vipers, and I'll post a link below. But I guess you kind of found out in the reverse order that I did. It seems like you saw them in a park, you joined, and then I'm guessing at some point you found out about Offbeat through the group.
I actually got an announcement from Meetup that there was a new group, and that there was a new group, Offbeat, and I read the description and it sounded interesting, so I decided to join. It was very at the beginning.
Oh, nice. That really is at the inception, because at the time I joined, the meetup already existed. But that makes sense. And I guess, what made you want to go to Offbeat, and what were like kind of the first few events that you went to?
The first one was the Science fair. People dress up, just hang out and play games. We also did real life werewolf, also playing games, and during the night we also did the Hunger Games. Just running around with pool noodles, trying to hide, and then trying to hit people, but not like real hitting, but very softly. But yes, we met a lot of people through Offbeat, and it's really it really helped us.
It is great. Such a great club. And again, I'll post the link for Offbeat for any listeners that in Bay Area that are interested. I think for me, one of the big things that really stood out to me, and I don't know if you had a similar experience, Britt, but like both with Quidditch and with Offbeat, and there's a huge overlap there. There's the huge focus on inclusivity, which is great. Like they're always welcoming new members. They're always like trying to make sure everyone's having a good time and stuff. And one of the things that I really liked about Offbeat is like I personally don't really drink that often, and and if people do, that's fine. But what I liked is like you could still like this like club just did like the funnest things you can imagine. like playing, like you said, like Hunger Games, doing Iron Chef where you're cooking, and like it was just such a great way to like make friends and stuff where you didn't have to go to bars or something like that. And yeah, I really valued like all the events and did things like I have never done before. Did you have the similar kind of experiences?
Yes, yes, I agree. All the events are not standard, and that is what it makes it exciting. A lot of new activities for us. We also did fort building. So with carton boxes, we build a fort, and with water guns, we try to defend your fort.
Was that the recent one that happened?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, correct. That was recently. Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't unfortunately there for that, but I heard that that was great. And while we're here, we'll give a shout out to Peter, shout out to Michelle, some of the organizers, shout out to Sam, any other organizers that have thrown on really good events.
Danielle,
Shout out.
Sheldon. Yes. A lot
Shout out
of
to Michelle.
people are active
Yeah.
actually, and spending a lot of time organizing things and researching. Kaizen.
Yeah, Kaizen, Sheldon, who basically is keeping this
Yes.
podcast alive. But yeah, just shout out to everyone, and apologies if we missed any of the great organizers. But this is definitely a great group. If anyone again is listening and really wants to join the Bay, wants to like meet friends, this is like the place to go and do fun things. And speaking of Offbeat, that brings us to kind of the national like novel project. But just right before we get to that, I was curious, going kind of back a few steps to your experiences in Netherlands, Munich, and the Bay Area. Were there any like notable, like super interesting travel stories you had? Maybe it wasn't even like living in these countries, but like maybe traveling anywhere, or like in Munich specifically for the internship?
With the international students, we did a couple of trips. We went to Berlin. It was really nice, with a bus full of students, and went out, then dancing deep in the night and exploring the city, drinking beer, meeting up.
Sounds fun.
Yes, we also went to a couple of other cities in Germany. With several students. Was with the international student organization. They organized a lot of events.
That's great. And it seems like obviously you know Dutch, and you probably picked up Germany while you were there, and obviously English. Are there any other languages you know?
Yes, I studied international business and languages. I also studied French.
Oh wow. So 4 languages, if I'm counting right?
Yes. Although I would need to practice though again with French.
Still super, super impressive. Just going, so obviously I'm guessing that you learned English in school, and obviously Dutch being native, but for German, when did you start learning that? Was that before you entered Munich or during Munich?
It started in high school, the same as French, and then also in university.
Okay. And how difficult, I mean, I guess you're coming from, I guess, a somewhat different language set, but how difficult would you say learning German is and stuff like that? Just because I'm always very fascinated by learning languages.
Yes, I'm always been very interested in other cultures, and also learning other languages is something that I really like.
Mhm.
So it was never really difficult for me. German is similar as Dutch, and French has some different aspects, but I really like the the tone, the way people talk, and I think it's a beautiful language. So that's also maybe if you like it, maybe it's easier to learn as well.
No, definitely. And since you've learned so many languages, do you have any tips for anyone learning languages, specifically maybe German and French?
I think just practice. Find somebody who is willing to practice with you, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. And I would say try to read books or watch movies, but really speaking, I think, is the most important aspect.
Got it. And any recommendations for anyone learning Dutch?
Um, don't try to concentrate on the grammar as much, especially with the D's and the T's. It's very difficult, so don't worry if you make any mistakes. And people are willing to practice with you, and just try, and it will be fine.
No, that's all very great advice. I definitely, I mean, I only speak two languages, but like definitely trial and error and making mistakes, all part of the process. Now fast forwarding to Offbeat a little bit. So there's in November, I believe there's like, regardless of Offbeat, there's like this, I think it's called like NaNoWriMo or like National Novel Writing Month. And it happens in November where people like decide to write novels just for fun, because that's pretty awesome. But why don't you describe what like the Offbeat event involving that? Because I believe it was a collaborative process, right?
Yes, correct. So the organizers thought it would be interesting to write a book or like a story with Offbeat with several different people, just to have for the creative process and to meet new people. And for me, it was something new. I never heard about it, and I thought it was very interesting just to write something together and to see how the story develops.
And what were the rules? Because if you're writing this all as one cohesive, you mentioned there were certain rules in place.
Yes, correct. There were certain rules. So you are not allowed to erase something that somebody else wrote, and you were only allowed to write at the end, so not between the chapters. And you were sorry, let me think about it.
Yeah, no worries.
To
I
be
feel like
honest, it has been a while actually, but yes, these were the two main rules. You were not allowed to erase anything, only writing at the end. And if there were some things that you didn't like, you were not allowed to say, "Oh, it was just a dream. The character woke up. It was just a dream." But yes, need to be creative and yes, make something out of it.
Oh, that makes sense. And as I guess my question before I get into other questions is the idea for there to be one coherent story? So even though you're writing a paragraph after someone else did and you're not allowed to delete it, are you trying to like continue on this story, or did people write things completely unrelated? Like, what were there any rules about like the story being continuous versus not?
Yes, it is one story. There are a lot of different characters, but yes, after the end of one paragraph, if somebody would pick it up, it would be continuous. It is continuous, yes.
And I don't know who's in charge of the project, but can we talk about details of the book? Or is it like, is there like a spoiler situation we might run into?
Yes, I think we can definitely talk about the book. Yes, with a couple of people and with my husband, decided to create or to make a book out of it, and I'm really happy of the result, actually.
That's awesome. And also, I would actually love to read this as well. I haven't actually read it yet. It's called Offworld, correct?
Yes, correct. Yes.
Great. And I guess, what is the basic plot of Offworld? Like, what? Yeah, I guess, what's the basic plot? And I'm curious, did someone come up with like the initial conception for this plot, or was it like a joint effort through all the writing?
So we had the first meetup, and we made up a few characters, and we decided a setting, and then everybody could make up basically what they wanted. So there was not a plot in the beginning. So as people write, a plot develops. And it's science fiction. Let me give you a short summary. So the people destroyed the Earth and found a new planet far away in the galaxy. There were trees on this planet and an ancient civilization. The people built a giant tech city. There is a strict government, and there are a few characters. There is one detective who is searching for the killer of his wife. There is a young scientist searching for secrets of the past. Another young scientist searching for her mother. So a lot of different aspects, subjects, loyalty, friendship, love, family relations. I would say, yes,
sounds amazing.
Very interesting. Yes.
Do you guys have any plans on like trying to get it published?
It is already self-published. We may try to sell it on Amazon, but need to look into it.
Okay. Again, I would love to read this, maybe. And if, again, I'd have to like check with permission, but if there's like an online version that people can read, I think I would love to post the link. But if not, that's cool too. No worries. So in writing the novel, were there any like parts that like you were really proud of that you contributed? Like, I guess it's hard because it's like probably a huge novel and obviously multiple contributors, but was there like, I guess, what was your take on this, and what did you try to like add from your perspective to the novel?
To me, I learned that writing is not as easy as it seems. So I learned about the process, and for the chapters that I wrote, I had a storyline in mind. Also writing about the discussion, and was really learning what's the basis, how does it begin, how does it progress, what's a good ending. And it's really fun to make things up. I made up like an animal that's non-existent, but that lives on the planet like far away in the galaxy. So yeah, it's really to be creative.
That's great. And had you had experience with creative writing in the past?
Actually, no. I do like writing. I have my own blog. I do correspondence, but not like writing long stories. Mainly short stories.
So this was like a whole new experience for you, like writing creatively.
Yes, correct. Yes.
That's awesome. And you mentioned, you learned writing, obviously, in any capacity, but especially creatively, can be super tough. Were there any sort of lessons or experiences that you gained from the project?
Yes, like I mentioned, that writing is not as easy as it seems. I feel it is a skill piece of art, actually. And then also afterwards with creating the book, a lot of decisions had to be made, a lot of small decisions that you don't really notice when you read a book, but when you create a book yourself, suddenly you have to think about the page numbering. Will you put it in the center or on the right side? The font, forward, appendix, or a lot of aspects come into it.
Yeah, definitely harder than it seems for sure. And you did mention actually that you had your own blog. Did you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yes, it's in Dutch. It's about living here in the Bay Area, things that we did, things that we noticed, like funny restaurants, or about meeting new people.
That's great. And I guess it caters to a more Dutch speaking audience, but I'm happy to post that if you would like in the description for this podcast.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And actually, speaking of restaurants, I wouldn't say I'm like a foodie per se, but I enjoy eating good food. What are your favorite restaurants in the Bay Area?
I really like Thai restaurants, yellow curry, pad Thai. We also got to know Indian food, the naan and the roti and the curries and the desserts. A lot of good ice creams over here.
Oh, definitely. Any specific favorite restaurants themselves?
I would say here in Mountain View, like Grapevine.
Grapevine.
Thai
Grapevine.
Amarin.
Thai Amarin. Very good. I love Grapevine, but I feel like most of the Quidditch team does not like it as much as I do. It's a great place to hang out when we're practicing at Eagle Park, but I don't know. They used to also have the best tiramisus, but they got rid of those, so it's been sad. But the food has been good in my opinion. Thai Amarin is also good.
Yes.
Any other hot spots? It could be like outside of Mountain View, although I know Mountain View pretty well myself.
Yeah, there are a couple of new beer gardens. So Ludwig's, Das Beer House. So you can sit outside, you can just have a drink or some food as well. And I also like that they have vegetarian options as well.
That's great. Where is that? Is that where Beer House used to be?
It's across the Cal train station.
Okay.
So it's like a joint venture, Olympus and Das Beer House. So they also have coffee and some pastries, but also beer and hamburgers, sausages, fries. So a lot of options. So that's
Olympus
also what makes it good.
Olympus is the Greek place, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. I know, like last time I went to Mountain View, it definitely has changed. Do they still do the thing where they blocked off the cars?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's good.
From
Yes.
Castro, yeah. That's great. I feel like that makes it a lot more walkable. And last time I went, there was a lot more foot traffic in the area.
Yes, it makes it easier for the restaurants as well. So the more people are able to join or like to eat at the restaurants because they have more space.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. I noticed this was the theme in the Bay Area because downtown Sunnyvale, downtown Palo Alto basically did the same thing as well.
Yes, correct.
I'm curious, are there any like Dutch specialties or Dutch food? Because I don't think of Dutch food that often, but I'm sure there's, specific cuisines that are pretty unique to the Netherlands.
Yes, so a couple of winter dishes. So dishes that you mainly eat in winter when it is cold. It's like mashed potatoes mixed with kale, sausage on the side, gravy on mashed potatoes with carrots, onion. It's all mixed together. Sausage as well, gravy. We have our own meat snacks, and these are very popular. My husband actually misses it very much. And for breakfast, we eat chocolate sprinkles on bread.
Oh, wow. I've never heard of that. Yeah.
Yes, bread, butter, chocolate sprinkles on top. Very good.
Wow. And I haven't really heard of much Dutch restaurants. Are there any places in the Bay Area?
I'm not familiar with any Dutch restaurants, actually.
Yeah, it's a very specific cuisine. I know there's a German place in Sunnyvale, downtown. Or is it Sunny? Yeah, Sunnyvale.
Yes, correct.
But yeah, I haven't heard of a Dutch place, so I'll have to go maybe to the country itself to try some of this bread with chocolate sprinkles, which sounds amazing. Yeah, was there anything else about like Bay Area or Offbeat that like really stood out that you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I really like just all the different activities, and everybody is very open and friendly. It really helped us to settle over here and to have some fun during the weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a great place. Obviously, no city is perfect or no area is perfect, but overall, I do miss it a lot, and I'm excited myself to go back next weekend. Um, but yeah, also just want to thank you so much again, Britt, for coming on and talking about the experiences that you had, like coming here from the Netherlands, your time in Munich, learning languages, this Offbeat project. I know we kind of went all over the place, but just want to also say thank you for coming on and sharing your experiences.
Yes, thank you for inviting me, and yeah, I enjoyed talking to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Great. Okay, thank you.